Okay, welcome to another edition of Huckins on Film. I'm your host, Kyle Huckins, and I had to wash the taste of Red Dawn out of my mouth, so I decided to catch, of all things, a kid's film, Rise of the Guardians. I remember seeing the trailer for this, I forget when, and I just thought the idea of, Santa, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, the Sandman, and Jack Frost teaming up against the Boogeyman. This could be interesting. Before I get into that, I'd say I skipped the trailers, but yeah, other than the Croods, I don't even remember them. It looks like it might be decent, about a family of cavemen. And the father is voiced by Nicolas Cage, so I'm kind of interested, actually. Just, Nick Cage voicing a kid's flick. Even though I know I'm going to be sadly disappointed when I don't hear him go, "Shoot him again, his soul's still dancing." I'm always disappointed when I don't hear Nick Cage say that. You should be too. That was a great movie. Anyway, back to Rise of the Guardians. Yes, it's those mythical figures of our childhood teaming up against the Boogeyman. And I know how cheesy and goofy it sounds. It's very well executed. I saw it in 3D, and the 3D is really good in this. Since Jack Frost plays the central character, of course, there's a lot of snow. The Sandman's involved, so you get a lot of confetti-like effects. And with atmospheric 3D, that works really well. That's it. There are a few gimmicky moments, because Jack Frost is there, so you can get the odd snowball just whipped right at the screen. That was pretty cool. My favorite part of this, though, to the surprise of absolutely no one who knows me, Pitch, a.k.a. the Boogeyman. He is voiced by Jude Law. And he's a pretty impressive villain. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's not like the governor from Walking Dead. Dear God. But for a kid's movie, he's a pretty imposing figure. All black. He definitely has kind of a Nightmare Before Christmas sort of look to him. He's a very shadowy figure. His hair is kind of slicked back. And he's voiced by Jude Law. There is a man who can do creepy very well. And, for a kid's movie, it's a very good villain. He's very intimidating. The Guardians themselves are pretty good. My favorite was probably the Easter Bunny, voiced by Hugh Jackman. Because he goes all native. What I mean by that is the Easter Bunny has an inexplicable Australian accent. And it kind of works. But at the same time, I was like, why does he sound Australian? But he's also the resident badass of the Guardians. He's got kind of a hardcore Batman streak going. I wouldn't call him a dark character, but of all the Guardians, he's the darkest. Because why not, I guess? The Sandman was interesting. He's not in a lot of the movie. I wish he was in it more. Because he can't even speak. He just forms pictures with using grains of sand above his head. You have to follow him that way. It's interesting. I really liked how they had him communicate. And of course, whenever he's doing his thing, there's grains of sand all over the place. It's one of those, yeah, I'm going to make this 3D thing rock. And he does. He's not the most talkative character or anything. He's fun. There's North, voiced by Alec Baldwin. Santa. Only he's big happy Russian. Very imposing fella. Great guy, just don't get on his bad side. He always has two swords with him. He is Russian after all. do not want to mess with him. But he's definitely the big rambunctious jolly guy. And the scenes at his workshop are really good because turns out all of his toy makers are actually Yeti. He does have elves, but they're more of a distraction than anything. They kind of remind me of the minions from Despicable Me. I only saw the trailers and whatnot for that. I haven't gotten around to seeing it. But they're just kind of bouncing around, making all kinds of chittering noises, just being in the way. And they're slapsticky, they're funny, but they don't overdo it. That's one of the things I loved in this movie was, yeah, it's slapsticky, it's cute, but it's not saccharine. You're not going to blow out your pancreas watching this movie. It's definitely very much a kid's movie. I wouldn't say there's a lot of humor in there for adults. Like most of the great, like the Pixar flicks, obviously. There's a lot in there for the kids, but there's also quite a bit for the adults. It's going to go over the kids' head, and even if the kids do get it, it's nothing all that risque. This one's a bit safer than those. It doesn't really have anything for the adults. But it's still a very well done kids movie. It's not pandering. It doesn't pretend kids are stupid or anything. It's not condescending. Yeah, although there was actually one very random flashback I was not expecting. Callback. Like I said, the Easter Bunny's an Aussie. And at one point, they're helping out the Tooth Fairy, and Jack Frost has a bag of teeth. They're talking about how it's not a competition. And he says, you call that a bag of choppers? And he pulls out a larger bag. He's like, it's a bag of choppers. It's like, oh, wow, Crocodile Dundee reference. Didn't expect that at all. But, it was the odd moment like that. Like I said, it's mostly geared towards the kids, but it's a very sweet film. It's a great atmosphere too. Like there are children involved in it other than the Guardians, but they are secondary characters. It's like the Transformers flicks where the Transformers are in the title, but you're following around Shia LaBeouf the whole time. It's one of those, no, the Guardian, specifically Jack Frost, is the main focus. It's mostly Jack Frost's story. And it's very appropriate that they got Chris Pine to play him, because his tale kind of mirrors him playing Kirk in the Star Trek reboot. The one he's very good at his job, he's very headstrong, but he kind of gets in his own way more than anything. It's a very, very similar style of character. I'm not going to say they're the same character. They're not even close, but there are enough similarities, and he does play that kind of character well. Also, it's just nice to see something I could like Chris Pine in again, because the last thing I saw him in was this movie Carriers, and oh my god, his character could not have been shot in the face nearly enough for my liking. Yeah, he's brash, he's headstrong, but he's one of those where he's a good guy, he's just not good at it yet. He's getting better. Let's see, the other main character, the Tooth Fairy. It's Isla Fisher as the voice. she's got kind of a nothing role. She's not totally useless, but kind of don't give her that much to do. Although she does have one of the funniest jokes in the movie, where they're talking to this one child. They're trying to get her to believe, kind of with bribery. And the Tooth Fairy, obviously has a tooth fixation. And she offers the kid a handful of teeth, like, they've still got blood and gum on them. And of course the kid just starts crying in horror. Like, the Tooth Fairy, it's not at all a dark character or anything. She's just really into teeth. And the teeth actually play a part. The teeth are a plot device in this. Like, that's where a lot of memories of childhood end up. Because every kid has a couple of those stories where you had a blast, but you ended up losing a couple of teeth along the way. Like that one sled ride where, oh crap, it just, you were expecting to go down the hill or whatever, and things went sideways on you. And you eventually got up and went, wow, that was awesome. And that's what the main conflict of this movie is. It's about fun and wonder against fear. Yeah, and it's, again, like I said, it's very well handled. It really did capture some of that wonder of being a kid again. Especially around this time of year, it's a great film for this. I mean, I work in retail. I think 28 Days Later is a Christmas movie. Because that's what it's like for the most part to me. Just hordes of violent, blood-spitting lunatics. So for me it takes a lot for me to enjoy a Christmas movie. Because of my job, I hate Christmas. I'm just going to say it. I fucking hate Christmas half the time. So, no joke, my favorite Christmas movie is Gremlins. Which actually is a Christmas movie. With a lot of blood and violence and death. But it is a Christmas movie. But yeah, and it's one of those, for an hour and a half, I kind of had the holiday spirit. Yeah, wait till I go back to work tomorrow. I'm figuring about 9 a.m. and be like, for Christmas. I'm going to get out of work. I'm immediately going to put Fear on the stereo. That song. If you don't know what song I'm talking about, you need to listen to Fear the Record. Good stuff. But, all in all, I'd say it's a good kids flick. It's sweet, but not saccharine. It's wondrous. It's not condescending. It doesn't treat you like an idiot. I mean, you could go on a treatise about it being a religious film because it does. It's very pro-belief. But sometimes at the end of the day, kids' movie's just a kids' movie. Just kind of have to go with that. That's what I'm doing in this case. It's just a kids' movie. But it's a pretty good kids' movie. And like I said, it's a good kids' movie with some kick-ass 3D. So yeah, I'm gonna recommend Rise of the Guardians. Give that a whirl if you're in the mood for good animation and a good holiday story. Yeah, that's Kyle Huckins for Huckins on Film. Fucking off.